The wood is still warm beneath your hand. Ash flakes drift through the half-collapsed roof, slow as feathers. You don't remember the moment it burned, only the screaming of the wind outside and the creak of the door as it swung open or shut. Your breath fogs in the morning cold, and the air tastes of charcoal and copper. The cabin, your cabin, is gone. You try to sit up. Pain lances through your side, but you manage, gripping the scorched floorboard with fingers blistered from heat or frost. You're not sure which. Your ears ring with the silence of it. No bird calls, no wind through the pines, just the slow drip of snow melt from the eaves. There had been a fire, that much is certain, but it hadn't come from the hearth. The hearth is untouched, still cold. You smell it before you see it. The smoke, bitter, recent. And then the cradle. It's overturned in the far corner, half buried beneath charred beams. You scramble, half crawling, half dragging yourself toward it. You don't speak, you don't dare. You lift the wood. Underneath, movement. A tiny breath. A quiver. A sound like a gasp stolen from the throat of a ghost. Wrapped in your shawl. No, not your shawl. Someone else's. Woven thick, embroidered with thread you don't recognize. Soft. Warmer than anything you own. You stare at it, hands trembling. The baby, your baby, is alive. And someone was here after the fire. You cradle her close, pressing your lips to her smoke-sweet skin. Her name is Annalise, born 7 weeks too early, just 6 days ago in the storm. You'd bled through the mattress. Your husband had ridden for help. He never came back. You had lain there, alone, holding her tiny body in the crook of your elbow, praying she would not forget the shape of you if it came to it. And now the cabin is ash, but she's alive. She's alive. You wrap her again in the stranger's shawl. It smells of pine, faintly of juniper, and something older. Hide oil and fire pit smoke, something tribal, something not yours. You listen again, but the world offers no answer, not yet. Then, boot prints, outside the door, and something else, bare footprints, smaller, lighter. A second pair, one walking away, but one walked in. You whisper to Annalise, not to comfort her, but to ground yourself. Someone found you, and they didn't take you. You rise, knees buckling, shoulder shrieking, but you stand, because there's no one else to stand for her. And in your mind, as the cold bleeds into your bones, a single question tolls louder than all the silence in the world. Who wrapped the cradle? You don't light a fire, not yet. The cabin's bones groan with every breeze, walls buckled, one rafter sagging like a broken limb. You press a chair beneath it, but it won't hold long. Still, it buys you minutes, moments, enough to unwrap the shawl. It's beautiful. Woven wool, edge stitched in red and blue thread. There's a symbol near the corner, a circle, half open like a sun rising or setting. It doesn't match any clan marking, you know, not Cherokee, not from the French traders either. It smells of long travel and cedar smoke, and the faintest trace of something sweet, like dried cornmeal. You trace the stitching with your thumb. Whoever left this had hands that knew babies. She'd been swaddled tight, her tiny limbs tucked safe, her forehead gently pressed with a cool stone, still resting now beside the cradle, flat and smooth, as if it had been placed with care. You want to cry, you don't. Instead, you shift to the trap door beneath the hearth, the old storm cache your husband never liked you using. Inside, there's half a sack of oats, a few strips of dried deer, a tin of coffee you'd been saving for spring. But what makes your throat tighten is what's missing. The rifle. Gone. He wouldn't have taken it and not come back. Not unless he'd meant to. You sink to your knees. The baby stirs against your chest, and you hum to her, not a lullaby, not a song, just a low sound, like wind through cottonwood leaves. That's when you hear it, not outside, not loud. From inside the cradle, beneath the fabric, a rattle. You reach in and pull it free. A carved wooden rattle shaped like a turtle, etched with lines in an old pattern, spirals and bones and stars. Shawnee. But the work, finer than anything you've seen traded, and newer, not ceremonial, personal. This wasn't just a rescue. This was a message. Whoever came didn't just save your daughter. They gave her something. A name, perhaps. A prayer. A claim. Your husband's people wouldn't understand. Your own kin wouldn't either. But you understand. A cradle, still breathing. A gift left in its folds. A mark passed on. This child was not left behind. She was spared for something, for someone. You whisper again to her, though your voice cracks in the middle. You've been seen. Outside, the snow begins to fall again, light but steady. You don't sleep, not really. You watch the dark through the broken boards, waiting for a shadow to return, waiting for the one who wrapped your daughter in a stranger's prayer and left behind their own silence. At first light, you step outside. Your boots sink deep into the snow, past the top of your ankles, the crust cracking like bone beneath your heel. You keep one arm wrapped tight around Annalisa, the other steadying the old shotgun you'd stashed beneath the floor months ago. It isn't loaded, not yet. But you carry it anyway, because something in you has changed. The fire didn't just take the roof, it took the part of you that waited for rescue. The wind bites, but you press forward. Just outside the door, the prints are still there. Booted feet, wide stride, slightly turned out, your husband's. He left in a rush. You recognize the pattern, but overlaid, a second set. Barefoot, light. Toes spread in the snow. Not a child, too wide, not a white man, no hobnails, no spurs, no weight in the heel. Whoever it was moved like wind over water, fast, precise. You follow the trail around the cabin. It stops at the back wall, near the cradle's window, where the frame's half burned, but the glass still clings like a memory to the pane. The barefoot tracks pause there, then reverse, then disappear. You kneel, cradling Annalise close against your chest. The snow here is disturbed, but not by struggle, not a fight, just a moment of stillness. They stood there, watching, long enough to leave something behind, and not take anything else, not your food, not your tools, not even your boots by the door, which means it wasn't need that brought them, it was choice. You scan the tree line, scanning the shadows for movement. Then you see it. A stick driven into the snow like a tiny marker, wrapped in red yarn. From your own sewing basket, you cross the yard, breath-catching. At the base of the stick, a stone, small, round, charred black on one side, but smooth as a river pebble on the other, and a symbol scratched into it, a slash through a crescent. You don't recognize it, but you feel it. Protection, ward, message. You stare at it for a long time before picking it up. The snow begins to fall heavier now, blanketing everything behind you, erasing the trail even as you study it. Whoever came here stayed long enough to leave you this, and didn't want to be followed. Still, your eyes narrow. There is a ridge beyond the trees, half a mile west. Your husband's old lookout trail, if anyone was watching. That's where they do it from. You look down at Annalise. She blinks up at you with that unfocused newborn stare, like her soul is still adjusting to light. "We're not going back inside yet," you whisper. "We're going higher." You tuck the stone into your coat pocket, not for warmth, but because some things shouldn't be left where they're found. Some things feel like promises, even when you don't yet know what they mean. The ridge cuts wind like a blade, cold, clean, merciless. You climb slow, boots slipping on patches of crusted ice, your arms tight around the baby as you breathe in huffs that sting your lungs. Each step is a whisper between trees. Pines creak, crows watch, but no one speaks. You crest the ridge just after midday. There's no campfire, no tent, no sign of habitation at first glance. But something feels off. The snow here has been disturbed, smoothed deliberately with a branch. You kneel, squinting at the ground. It's an old scout trick. Erase the story your tracks tell. But not perfectly. To the left, a small depression beneath the spruce roots. A nest hollowed out from pine needles, rimmed with deer hide, still warm. Someone was here minutes ago, watching. You scan the valley below. Your cabin smokes faintly, what's left of it. Beyond that, forest. Mountains in the far distance. Silence thicker than snow. Then, movement. To your right, not loud, just a flicker. You turn fast, shotgun raised. Your finger on the trigger, though the chamber's empty. And there he is, a figure half-shadowed behind a fallen tree, not young, not old. Skin dark with wind and sun, hair braided in a style you've only seen once before, in a trading post sketchbook years back. Shawnee. But something else, too. His coat isn't tribal. It's patched cavalry wool, frayed at the sleeves. His boots are rawhide, but his belt carries a blade etched in old frontier script. He raises one hand, palm out. The other hand doesn't move. No threat, no greeting. You don't lower the gun. Your voice comes quieter than you mean it. "Was it you?" No answer. "Did you come to the cabin?" He tilts his head, like he's listening for something other than your words. "You wrapped my child," you say, the edge in your voice trembling between gratitude and fear. Still nothing. The baby stirs, and then his eyes move, just briefly. To the shawl, recognition flickers, and something else. Something older than words, regret. He doesn't speak, but he kneels, slowly, placing something in the snow between you. A rabbit, clean kill, still warm. Then he rises and backs away, one step at a time, never turning, not fearfully, just deliberately, as if he's done this before. You watch until he disappears into the trees. Then you look down at the rabbit. Fresh food. A message. You pick it up. It's wrapped in a twist of cloth. An old military map. Blood stains one edge, and in the margin, written in charcoal, "She wasn't supposed to be alone." You read it twice, then a third time, and in your chest something twists. Because you know that handwriting, your husband's. The rabbit simmers in snow-melt water, scent twisting through the broken air of your cabin shell. You feed Annalise first, then yourself. Small bites, slow. The meat is lean and sweet, still warm enough to taste like life. You sit by what's left of the hearth, knees drawn tight, watching the flames lick the stones that once held your wedding vows. The cradle rests near your feet, wrapped again in the shawl, and in your pocket, the note. She wasn't supposed to be alone. Written in your husband's hand, but not meant for you. Who was it for? Outside, the snow turns to sleet. You feel it in your bones. The ache of a front coming in, sharp and punishing. You need help, shelter, away west or at least to the next post. But you don't know this man, not really. So when you see him again, at dusk, at the tree line, you don't wave. You walk to him slow. Annalise tight against your chest, the shotgun slung across your back, still unloaded. He watches without blinking. You speak first. I need to know if she's safe with you. A pause. Then he nods once. You pull off your glove. Your fingers are stiff, but you manage. The ring on your hand catches what little light is left. Iron band, your wedding ring, heavy with a promise no longer held. You slide it off. Trade, you say, extending your hand. Food, fire, help us reach the pass. You keep this. His eyes flicker. He doesn't move. You feel heat rise in your chest. I know what this ring's worth. I know what men do to women with no husband and no trail. Silence. Then he steps forward, takes the ring, presses it to his palm, and places something else in your hand, a small pouch. Inside, dried berries, smoked meat, 2 bullets wrapped in cloth, and a flint strike bundle. You look up. He doesn't smile, doesn't speak. But you see it now. This isn't just trade. It's a pact, a vow. You nod once. A storm begins to rise behind the mountains. You feel it coming like the breath of a darker thing. He turns to leave. Wait, you say. Your name? He pauses, speaks for the first time. Jonas? The word lands quiet, rough, not native, not military, just his. And then he's gone. But you feel it now, in the weight of the ring in his pocket and the taste of rabbit in your mouth. He'll return. Not because of kindness, because now he has a stake in you. Night falls like wet wool, heavy, clinging, cold. You hold Annalise near the fire, listening to the wood hiss and settle. The cabin feels smaller in the dark, or maybe you do, smaller than you were this morning, smaller than the woman who wore a white bonnet on her wedding day, who smiled for the camera in front of the courthouse in Independence, Missouri. You had braided your hair that morning with lavender oil, and the scent had made you think of your mother, not your stepmother, your real one. The one with eyes like yours and skin just dark enough to spark whispers. No one said it aloud, not even your husband. But you remember how his mother's hand trembled when she took yours, how his father never looked you in the eye when he handed over the cabin keys as a wedding gift. The land's his now, he'd muttered. Do what you will. They didn't come to the cabin, not once. Not when the first snow fell, not when word reached town that you'd taken ill. You told yourself it was distance. Now you know better. You stir the fire. Annalisa sleeps against your chest, her tiny breath warming the space above your heart. You move to the trunk near the bed, what's left of it. The lock is warped from heat, but you pry it open. Inside, scraps of fabric, a rosary, letters from your aunt in New Mexico. One addressed in Spanish, one never opened. You take it out. The ink has run slightly, but the writing's still clear. Querida sobrina. You read in silence, the words like warm rain over years of dust. She writes of a birthright you never knew, land held in your mother's name, a certificate of claim, signed and filed, but never transferred after the war. Your husband never mentioned it, but in the corner of the trunk, beneath a layer of muslin, you find another envelope. Opened, his handwriting in the margin. Too complicated. She doesn't need more confusion. You feel your breath catch. He knew. He read it. He hid it. He kept it from you, not to protect you, to erase you. Annalisa stirs in your arms. You press your lips to her forehead. You'll know where you come from, you whisper. Outside, the wind rises again. Not snow, not sleet, rain. Unusual for this time of year, but not unwelcome. You open the door, step out, let it wash your face, your hair, your memory. The firelight behind you flickers, the cradle creaks. Somewhere in the woods a branch snaps, but not in fear, in return. Jonas is near. You don't turn toward him, not yet. Instead, you whisper to the sky, Ima, we're not who they said we were. And the rain answers like a vow. The trail to Weller's Post is narrow and winding, half choked by underbrush and last winter's deadfall. Jonas walks ahead, silent, precise, never breaks pace, never looks back. You follow, with Annalise bound tight to your chest, the cradle shawl tucked under your coat. The storm has passed, but what remains is worse. Melted snow turned to ice, mud that pulls at your boots like hungry fingers. The trading post is smaller than you remember, just 3 buildings, Weller's General Store, a smithy long gone cold, and the old relay barn that smells of mold and molasses. Jonas stops at the door, doesn't speak, just nods once and waits outside. You step inside. It smells of kerosene, old flour, rust. Weller's behind the counter, scribbling figures in a cracked ledger. He doesn't look up. I'm not taking any more furs, he grumbles. And no flour on credit. It's me, you say. He looks up, blinks. Recognition takes a beat longer than it should. Well, I'll be damned. His eyes flick to Annalise. You're still alive. The words hang like smoke. You say nothing. I heard the cabin burned. Word was, you'd both gone under. I need supplies. He grunts. You and everyone else. You reach into your coat and pull out your last coin, plus the dried pouch Jonas gave you, and, hesitating, your locket. Your mother's face etched inside, worn from years of worry. Weller looks at the pile. His eyes soften, just slightly. He turns to the back wall, reaches behind the stack of tins, pulls out something wrapped in oilcloth. He lays it on the counter. You know the shape before it's unwrapped, your husband's rifle. You reach for it, but Weller places a hand on it. He brought it in 3 weeks ago. Your breath catches. Did he say where he was going? Weller shakes his head. He looked nervous. Kept checking the road behind him, had a blood stain on his shirt. What did he take for it? Coffee, bullets, rope, 1 map. You feel the ground shift beneath your boots. He left this behind. Weller slides a folded slip of paper from under the counter, a pawn note. Except there's something scrawled on the back. If she comes, give her this, but don't follow, not your fight. You stare at the writing. Not your husband's, Jonas's. Your chest tightens. You take the rifle, feel its familiar weight. Then you turn to the window. He's gone, not out of sight, just vanished. You step outside, heart hammering, eyes searching the tree line. No sign of him. But at your feet, tucked between rocks near the step, another stone, this one unmarked, but warm. You pick it up and whisper to the empty air, where are you taking me? The wind carries no answer, but your feet already know the way. By the time you reach the edge of the ravine, your legs no longer belong to you. Annalise is quiet, too quiet. Your breath comes in short gasps, each one colder than the last. The rifle slung across your back feels like stone. Jonas moves ahead without sound, but even he glances back now, brow furrowed. Your vision blurs, then tilts, then darkness. When you wake, it's not to the crackle of fire or the chill of night. It's to warmth, wet cloth on your forehead, something pressed gently between your lips, bitter bark and honey. You try to sit, but a firm hand rests on your shoulder, not rough, steady. Jonas. You blink. He doesn't meet your eyes. Instead, he dips another cloth into a steaming bowl beside the fire. You realize the air smells different. Not just smoke, herbs, juniper, yarrow, cedar ash. A feather rests on a stone near your head, dark brown, bent slightly, like it's been carried a long way. You recognize the pattern, though you don't know how. It's not settler, not church. It's older than that. You've heard whispers of it. A rite they don't perform anymore, not for outsiders. You shift, feeling heat throb in your belly. Your side aches. But the fever, it's faded. You can think again, speak. Where's the baby? He nods toward the cradle near the fire. Wrapped. Safe. Your throat works. You did this, you whisper. Still, he doesn't speak. Instead, he reaches into his coat and pulls out a tiny satchel, unties the string. Inside, dried red root, a single coin, and a folded scrap of buckskin. He lays them beside you, a message in items. You read it in pieces. Healing, debt, protection. The satchel isn't for you, it's for her. A child's bundle, a claim. You touch the coin, smooth, Spanish, very old. This means something, you say. He finally speaks. Belonged to my mother. You look up. His eyes are tired, not from lack of sleep, from memory. Why me, you ask. His answer is not in words. He points to your daughter, then to the feather, then to his chest. You understand, it wasn't you he came for, it was her. And now you carry more than a child. You carry a lineage, a torch, a thread that someone long ago refused to cut. Jonas adds another log to the fire. Outside, wind shifts, warmer now, spring hinting at its return. You lean back against the earth wall of the dugout shelter, and for the first time in days, you close your eyes, not in fear, but in something dangerously close to peace. You wake with the dawn, not to fire or hunger, but to stillness. A silence so deep it feels woven. Jonas is gone, but not far. His tracks lead down toward the river. Annalisa stirs against your chest, cheeks pink from the fire's glow. You stroke her hair and whisper her name like a ward against forgetting. You're stronger this morning. Your limbs hold weight again. Your breath feels like yours. So you do what settlers always do when grief loosens its grip. You clean. You sweep the corners of the dugout shelter, reorganize the firestones, repack the few supplies Jonas left behind. And that's when you notice the hollow space beneath the hearthstones. A gap just wide enough for fingers. You hesitate, then pull. The flat stone lifts with effort. Beneath it, a faded oilcloth bundle, tucked into a dry alcove no larger than a book. You unwrap it slowly, not a weapon, a journal, leather-bound, pages stitched by hand. You open to the first entry. April 3rd, 1866. I do not know if I will survive the spring, but if someone finds this, know I tried. My name is Clara Rose Buchanan, and I did not go willingly. You sit, read, turn page after page, the words pulling you in like a prayer whispered across time. She had come west as a preacher's bride, left behind in a cabin 3 miles from yours when her husband vanished into the mountains seeking gold and God and never returned. Her baby died of fever. Her horse was stolen, and when the blizzards came, she learned to trap squirrels with a shoelace and a tin pan. But that's not what makes your breath catch. It's her final entry. I buried my daughter beneath the cedar tree, wrapped her in my shawl. If you find her, give her back her name, and if you survive what I could not, live like you were never meant to be tamed. Your fingers tremble, the cedar tree. There's only one near your cabin. You remember it. The roots twist like hands. Clara Rose Buchanan. The name lodges in your throat like something you forgot to carry. You look down at Annalisa. She blinks back. A name handed forward. A line unbroken. You press the journal to your chest. This land has always carried women like you. Not just ghosts, but guides. Outside, you hear Jonas returning, boots muffled by wet moss. You don't tell him yet. Instead, you whisper to the fire, I will not go quietly. And for the first time since the world burned, you feel a path opening beneath your feet, not one made for you, one you'll make, with her name and your own. You ask again the next night, after the baby's fed and the fire's burning steady, who sent you? Jonas doesn't answer right away. You watch him rub down his boots, rawhide wrapped in deer-gut thread, each knot tight, purposeful. He doesn't fidget. He waits. So do you, because you already know. You just want to hear it from his mouth. My brother-in-law? You finally ask. Did he send you? A pause. Then softly, yes. The air goes still. You rock Annalise gently. Your hand tightens around the cradle's edge. He told you to bring me back? Jonas doesn't look away. No, just to find you. The difference matters, but not enough. So you tracked me through snow and fire. Why? He reaches into his coat and pulls out a folded sheet of paper, worn, watermarked with ash, a drawing, your face. Rough sketch, the jaw wrong, the eyes too large, but enough to recognize. And below a note, $150 if returned alive, $100 if confirmed dead, signed Henry Maddox. Your stomach knots, your husband's brother, always polite, always distant, the man who gave a speech at your wedding about forgiveness and assimilation. He never forgave you, he just waited for you to disappear. I took the job, Jonas says, voice low. I was broke, wounded, needed trade. You stand. Anger rises like bile. And then what? You found me half-burned, decided to play rescuer instead. No. He stares into the fire. I saw the cradle. You don't speak, he continues. She was breathing, wrapped in someone else's shawl. Fire not finished, man's tracks leading away, and yours, too light for escape. You study his face. There's no shame in it, only choice. So what now, you ask? You want your payment? He reaches into his pocket again, takes out the ring. Your ring. Sets it on the stone beside the fire, then adds the charcoal sketch. Both burn slow. Quiet, no drama. You watch the flames eat the lie. Jonas finally speaks the rest. My name isn't Jonas. You raise an eyebrow. He nods toward the baby. She's not the first I couldn't save. A silence deeper than night settles between you. Finally you ask, then what should I call you? He looks up, eyes dark and tired and real. Call me when you're sure I belong. You say nothing, but when he turns to leave, you say just one word, stay. And he does, not out of duty, but because now you know who tracked you, not the man from the wanted note, the one who carried your story, until it became his own. You go back to the ruins before the snow melts for good. Jonas watches you from the tree line, but doesn't follow. He knows this isn't a trail he can walk for you. The cabin's bones are blackened, walls half fallen, the cradle moved, now empty, sits beside a pile of broken dishes. The roof is gone. The sky pours down unfiltered light like judgment. You step through the threshold slowly, not to remember, to find. You move to the door. What's left of it? It had splintered inward during the fire, the hinges warped, but the latch, still there, bent, heat-twisted, and on the inside marks, deep gouges in the wood, your own. You'd tried to open it that night, but it didn't budge. You press your palm to the burn-marked plank. The memory rises. You'd screamed for help, not just because the smoke was thick, but because you couldn't open the door, because it had been barred from the outside. You stagger back, breathe shallow. Someone locked you in on purpose. You kneel, examine the latch. Standard settler design, wooden crossbar hooked into iron loop, only accessible from outside. Your husband had rigged it himself, said it kept wolves out, but it had kept you in. You look around, the rifle's gone, the food untouched, his coat missing. He hadn't left in a rush, he'd prepared. The fire hadn't started from within. It had started from the rear, logs piled near the base, oiled cloth, ash lines forming a deliberate trail. You feel your heartbeat thrum in your ears. He lit the match, walked away, and left the door barred. You touched the stone near the threshold, the same one Jonas returned to you with the trade pouch. Now you understand. The tracker didn't stumble onto your trail. He was following the fire. And he saw what it was, a murder disguised as misfortune. A cabin set to burn with a woman and child inside. You stand, strong, steady. You don't cry. Instead, you gather three things: the charred shawl, the broken door hinge, and a single scrap of singed cloth from your husband's coat. You will carry these forward, not as grief, but as evidence. Jonas meets your eyes when you return. He sees the weight you carry and doesn't ask. You hand him the coat scrap. This wasn't an accident. He nods, not surprised. Then why save me, you ask. His voice is low. Because no one else would. The wind rises. Not cruel this time, just clear. Like something once hidden is finally allowed to move. You wrap Annalise tighter and whisper a truth the fire couldn't burn. He tried to erase me. But the cradle still breathes. And so do you. The map Jonas gave you is faded in places, creases worn thin where it was folded and unfolded by calloused hands. You trace the trail with your finger, past the ridge, through a grove of cedar, to a clearing marked only by a faint X. You hike there in silence. Jonas carries Annalise. He doesn't speak unless you ask. The air smells of thawing earth and pine. The sun is out for the first time in days, but it doesn't warm you, not where it matters. The grove is smaller than you imagined. 5 or 6 trees, maybe, surrounding a half-sunken shelter. Logs sun-bleached, roof caved. No signs of recent use. You push open the warped door and step inside. Dust swirls in a shaft of light, and there she is, what's left of her. A grave, marked only by river stones. A dress folded neatly in the corner. A locket. A child's boot. You kneel beside the stones and brush away moss. One word carved into wood. Sarah. The rest faded beyond reading. Jonas stands behind you. You don't ask how he knew. You already know. She died here? Your voice is barely breath. He nods. Childbirth. His? Yes. You feel your stomach twist, and your breath catches, not just from what happened, but from what almost did. He buried her, then went to town and married you. You close your eyes. Images blur together, Your wedding day, his trembling hands, the way he avoided the west trail behind the ridge. Not grief, guilt. You whisper to the stones, not for her forgiveness, for permission. I see her now. Jonas steps forward. Places something beside the grave, a doll, handmade, whittled from wood wrapped in wool string, not his, hers. She left this, he says, when she first arrived, thought someone might come. No one did. Until now, you stand and face him. He wasn't just cruel, you say, he was a coward, Jonas nods. And a man who couldn't live with the life he'd made. You don't cry. You simply take the folded dress, wrap it carefully, and tuck the locket into your coat. Because the child that died here deserves to be remembered, and so does the woman who birthed her in silence. You turn to go, but before you leave, you say her name one last time. Sarah. The wind picks up, soft, almost grateful, and Annalisa stirs. She knows. Some things live on, not in blood, but in what we choose to carry. You see the rider long before he reaches the clearing. Dust trailing behind a fast horse. Coat too fine for a trapper, too stiff for a farmer. And a rifle strapped sideways like a badge of arrogance. Jonas spots him too. His shoulders tighten. He doesn't speak. You stand near the half-buried shelter, arms around Annalise, the weight of Sarah's locket still heavy in your coat. When the rider finally dismounts, you recognize him instantly. Henry Maddox. Your husband's brother. Older, broader, still clean-shaven, like a banker pretending to be frontier-blooded. His boots shine. He looks at you like he expected something else or someone else. Well, he says, you're harder to kill than expected. You don't answer. He scans the scene, the grave, the shelter. Jonas steps forward. Henry's hand twitches near his belt. Don't, you say. He freezes. Is this where she died? Henry asks. The other one? You don't give him the satisfaction of a reply. He spits. I cleaned up James's mess once. Looks like I'll have to do it again. He pulls his pistol, but Jonas moves faster. One step, one breath, and then Henry's on the ground. Blood on the snow. The pistol knocked yards away. Jonas stands over him, blade in hand. Not deep, just enough. Enough to bleed. Enough to wait. Henry gasps, looking up. Half-breed bastard. Jonas says nothing. Instead, he steps back, looks to you. Not asking for permission, but for choice. This isn't just his revenge. This is your reckoning. You kneel beside Henry. He winces, hand pressed to his side. You tried to burn me alive. No one would have believed you, he hisses, even now. You don't belong. You lean in close, voice steady. No, but neither did Sarah, and she died for it. He blinks, realization slow and bitter. You stand, turn to Jonas. Let him live. He raises an eyebrow. You nod. Let him answer for it, where their laws still matter. Jonas sheathes the blade. Henry groans, bleeding into the earth he tried to claim. You whisper one thing before you walk away. Tell them what you did. Not because they'll care, but because it'll eat him alive. The justice of settlers is a coin toss, but the justice of memory, that never fades. As you walk from the clearing, Cradle in your arms, Jonas beside you, the silence feels earned, because blood feeds the soil. But only truth makes anything grow. You return to the cedar grove not with vengeance, but with purpose. Jonas helps you dig, not because he must, but because he knows it matters. The soil is soft now. Spring has loosened it. The snow is gone, but the ground is wet with memory. You choose the space between two aspens, roots not too deep. A deep sun touching gently through their trembling leaves. You bury Sarah's dress, the locket, and beside it, the child's carved toy, Jonas's offering. The grave is shallow, but the care is not. Jonas marks it with a stone. Not tall, not grand, but true. He presses a bundle beside it, sweet grass, cedar bark, and one blue feather, one his mother once wore when she danced for rain. Then he steps back, waits. You kneel, no preacher, no book, just breath, and the hymn your mother once sang when she believed the world could still be kind. Lay her low, in the warmth and in the snow. Your voice cracks halfway through, but you finish it anyway, because some songs aren't for beauty. They're for remembering. You rise. Jonas takes your hand, not in possession, in solidarity. A wind moves through the aspens, quiet, careful. Like someone pausing to listen, you turn to go, but not before placing one last thing. A stone from your old cabin's hearth, blackened, but whole. You leave it at the base of the tree. No words, just witness. Sarah will not be forgotten, and neither will the ones who carried her memory forward. Jonas touches your shoulder. We go now? You nod, but your heart stays behind, not in grief, in gratitude, because some names are carved in wood, and some are carried in the way we choose to live. Months pass, the snows melt, the rivers swell and calm. Green returns to the ridges like breath long held and finally released. And the cabin is new, built not from what was lost, but from what remains. The frame is tighter, the hearth higher. The doorway faces west now, toward the grove where Sarah rests, and the mountains that once hid more than they revealed. Jonas carved the lintel by hand. Simple lines, 2 feathers, 1 cedar knot, and a sun just rising. Annalise grows with the seasons. She laughs now, grasps with fierce fingers, sleeps better when the fire crackles and the shawl, Sarah's shawl, rests near her cradle. You rock her gently as twilight folds over the valley. Jonas sits by the fire sharpening a blade he rarely carries. He still speaks little, but his silences no longer hurt. You've learned to listen beneath them. You watch the fire together. No need to explain what was survived. Some truths are quieter than words. You touch your daughter's cheek. Annalise Clara, you whisper. The name settles like a stone dropped in water, rippling gently outward, through blood, through time. Jonas looks over, approves with a single nod. No one will ever erase her, not by name, not by fire. Later, when the stars come out and the wind bends the grass just right, you'll tell her everything. About the cedar grove, about Sarah, about the woman who once fled with nothing but a journal and a name she'd never hear spoken again. And when Annalisa is old enough, she will speak it too, not as burden, as inheritance, as firelight past, not lost. And the cradle, still breathing, will one day hold another name, but this one will never be left behind.